Hey guys, my name is Taylor Beavers. I am a professional development fellow with Our Kids Read, and I am also a third grade teacher in the Northwest Arkansas area. And I am so excited to be celebrating World Read Aloud Day with you guys today. So as a teacher, I know that reading aloud is not only enjoyable to our students, but it also benefits them in many ways as well. So as a teacher or a parent, if you're watching from home, when we read aloud to our students, we are modeling how to read fluently and what a good reader sounds like. So reading at a speaking pace, using expression when we read. And this is helping our students hear what that's supposed to sound like. And also it's helping them to understand more complex vocabulary that if they were reading it on their own, they may or may not have understood it. But now they do because you read it aloud to them. In addition to that, when your student or your child reads aloud, this helps them comprehend the text even better. So for example, just the other day, one of my students in my class was not understanding a question that we were working on. So I said, okay, well, how about you read it out loud to me and then we can figure it out together. And immediately after he read it out loud, he said, oh, now I understand. So sometimes it just takes that little extra push. When we read it out loud, we can kind of understand it a little bit better. So without further ado, I would love to share with you one of my favorite books to read aloud to my students, and that is A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon. I love this book because it teaches our students a really good lesson about being themselves and the consequences of what happens when you choose to not be yourself. So let's get started. A Bad Case of Stripes. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room, and she screamed too. "Oh, my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered, "but just look at me." "You get back in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. "Most extraordinary," he exclaimed. "I've never seen anything like it. Are you having any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, chills, hot flashes, dizziness, drowsiness, shortness of breath, or uncontrollable twitching?" "No," Camilla told him. "I feel fine." "Well then," Dr. Bumble said, turning to Mrs. Cream, "I don't see any reason why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment that should help clear up those stripes in a few days. If it doesn't, you know where to reach me." And off he went. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything were normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard!" and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla at home from school. She's just too much of a distraction, and I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes could be contagious. Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she'd been laughed at enough for one day. Well, yes, I see," Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. "I think I better bring in the specialist. We'll be right over." About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. "This is Dr. Grop, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young." Then the specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. "Well, it's not the mumps," concluded Dr. Grop. "Or the measles," said Dr. Sponge. "Definitely not chicken pox," put in Dr. Cricket. "Or sunburn," said Dr. Young. "Try these," said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. "Take one of each before bed," said Dr. Grop. Then they filed out the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. All right, I'm going to pause right there. So if you enjoyed this book, I hope that you decide to pick it up and see what happens to Camilla and if she gets her stripes to go away. And I hope that you have a wonderful World Read Aloud Day. And I am going to challenge you to comment your favorite book to read aloud, or that your student's favorite read aloud book, in the comments, so that we get to see all these wonderful books and different options for us to read aloud and celebrate today. Have a great day.